Hi, and welcome back again to Wellness Wednesdays over here at Spine and Rehab Specialists. Again, I'm Earl Hayden, one of the physical therapists here, and I'm joined with Chris, who's going to help me demonstrate all of these exercises. Today, we are starting with the squat. So popular and almost always done with poor technique. I think I've seen about maybe 20 people in my career doing this that could probably do a perfect squat on day one. Okay, so let's talk about the basic setup of the squat. So first, typically we're going to have the feet about shoulder width apart, maybe a little bit wider depending on how tall you are. If you're shorter, you probably have a narrower stance. If you're taller, this is just a hard movement to do because the physics are working against you. So let's go ahead and do the squat. So what I'm looking for is that the knees should stay lined up over the feet. They shouldn't be caving inwards. They shouldn't be going outwards. So let's see how that looks with the feet caving in, okay? So if the knees are caving in like that, that can be something we need to work on. Maybe we need to strengthen the hips a little bit more, or maybe we need to work on some strengthening in the ankles, or maybe we just need to change up the footwear a little bit. The other big thing that we're looking at with the squat is that the knees and the hips should be bending at the same time, so everything is just going down in one piece. We shouldn't be reaching forward with the knees too much like that. And I'm not too concerned if the knees go past the toes. If you're taller, the deeper you go into your squat, the knees are gonna come past the toes. There's no way around that, okay? And if you find that you have someone that's having a hard time keeping their chest upright while doing the squat motion, the taller you are, typically you're going to lean a little bit more forward, okay? Or maybe you have poor control, poor core strength, you're probably gonna lean a lot more forward than you need to, okay? So one way around that is to use just something to elevate your heels. Here we're gonna use this thing called the bob, okay? So I'm gonna place this underneath your heels, Chris. By raising up the heels, it makes it easier to stay more upright while doing the squat. Once you have mastered the basic technique for doing a squat, you have so many different options for adding load or making the exercise more difficult. A thing I'm a huge fan of is using a dumbbell, or in this case, a kettlebell. So it doesn't take a lot of weight. So Chris is just gonna hold this weight right here in front and keeping that nice and tight, and then going through the same motion, okay? What I like about having the weight right here in front, it naturally forces you to stay a little bit more upright. So if you have a history of low back problems, this actually makes the squat a little bit more comfortable. Might be safer than having a bar on your back, but that's something you could build up towards over time as well. But overall, this is a good way to load the exercise while maintaining almost near perfect technique almost every time. Now, let's say you don't have any weights at home. You don't really necessarily need a lot of equipment. You can just grab something. In this case, we're just gonna use a backpack. So Chris is just gonna hold on to that, just hug it close, and then go through the motion. There you go. So the concept is the same. You have the weight in front. It forces you to stay a little bit more upright. So you can use a backpack, your child, or your favorite pet. Okay, the bigger the better. Okay, so no chihuahuas on this one. So another version of the squat I'm a huge fan of is a skater squat or bowler squat, depending on who you ask. Now this is done on one leg. Single leg squats are great because they transfer very good to sports and almost everything we do in life. We're not pushing off of both legs at the same time. We're always walking around, running, which requires us to drive off of one leg or landing on one leg. So this carries over to so many different things. So what makes this squat different than, say, like a pistol squat is that the leg that you're not standing on goes back. So it helps you maintain the balance a little bit more. And then you're going to reach forward with the opposite arm, okay? So here Chris is reaching for the table. So you notice we're not getting a lot of depth on here, but if this exercise becomes very easy, or your client or patient has a lot more control, you can easily make this more difficult by going to a lower depth. We're doing the skater squat to the lower depth. So here, Chris has to squat down lower to reach that table. And that's the main thing you want to focus on is, again, he's squatting low to reach the table. He's not bending forward more at the back to reach that depth, okay? And this is good for building up single leg strength, helps you tease out if there's any weakness from one side to the other, and it also works on good on just your balance. Now, with most things in life, we're not just moving in one direction. We're not just going up and down just in one thing. We always have some type of rotation, and that's just normal life and also a lot of sports. So one way we can train that with the squats, or the single leg squat, is we can give your patient or client a simple little target, okay? So now Chris is going to try to squat and tap each cone, okay? So this works on balance, works on single leg strength, ankle strength and stability, and also coordination with the arms. So this carries over to so many different things. Dancing, playing baseball, football, soccer, almost any sport will benefit from utilizing this activity. So the next squat we're going to show you is nice in between the standard squat and a lunge, which we can go over next week. But this one is called the Bulgarian split squat, or rear foot elevated squat, depending on who you ask. So to set up the Bulgarian split squat, you're gonna have one foot on the floor, the other foot is gonna go up on a bench or a chair behind you, okay? And we should be right here on the edge. We're not on the toe, the foot is flat right here, okay? And then we're going to drop the back knee and push through the front heel. If you're teaching this exercise to someone, if you use those two instructions, more often than not, any weird technique or difficulty a person will have keeping their posture upright kind of clears up with just dropping the back knee and pushing through the front heel. And that's a quick little tutorial on squatting. And there's so many different techniques and different ways to progress or regress that exercise to make it more meaningful to whatever activity you're going to use or do. So if you have more questions on that exercise, or if you're having problems or difficulty performing that exercise, please come see us over here at Spine and Rehab Specialists. We can take a look at how you're moving, help screen out any weird strength imbalances or pains that you may be having.